Good morning, it's your man Earl here early Sunday morning. Just got done with the deliveries for the day, and as you can see, getting it in. Some of you guys don't know that, but we try to get a little workout at least 3 to 5 times a week. So we're here getting done with a little workout, and wanted to get this video out to you before we get to Sunday morning service and worship. Today's very interesting subject matter, and we're going to be off in the deep end pretty much this whole week, I'm thinking, with some pretty strong, deep, what I mean by deep, some mental, psychological, and some deep thought to get you guys thinking about how and why you do things. And one of them is starting out, obviously today's day 126, May 6th, Sunday morning early, with this post. And today's subject matter is framing. Framing, otherwise psychological framing, or your mental framing. How do you frame stuff, right? And so there's some principles that we need to understand, and here's a few of them. One, words create life and death. Okay, this comes out of a good book that I preach from and I study frequently, and I have read at least one time all the way through for the last 5 or 6 years. I have read the good book all the way through, as well as study off into other so-called sacred religious texts. But the one that I study from, believe in wholeheartedly, and preach and teach from is the good book. So, framing, day 126, May, I believe it's May 6th, Sunday morning, in the workout room, getting it in. So, psychological framing, otherwise known as words, produce life and death. This is how you produce your psychological framing. Chiefly, there's 2 ways. One, you produce it yourself, right? And 2, it is given to you, right? Other people program your psychological framing. Now, words mean, or words have the effect of life and death, and I need to give you guys this in today's subject matter, is you tend to get what you say, not what you think, okay? You tend to get what you say, not what you think. Now, think about this statement. This comes right out of self-help, out of a man's heart. Okay, so you speak from the abundance of your heart, right? So what you're speaking, you have a tendency to get, right? Watch this one. These are all self-help, mental jargon, if you will, catchphrases, but you don't really know the understanding of them. And I challenge you to study them so you understand where people are coming from, right? Another one is your mind is shaped by your own self-talk, right? What do you say about you is most important, not what other people say about you or think about you. Is what do you say about you, right? What do I say about myself? Okay, here's another one. You tend to attract who you are, not what you think you are, okay? Now, these are all under cognitive bias, or your mental bias, right? So your construct, okay, or your mental framing, okay, you have to really work hard to, 1, understand what this is, 2, get in a neutral or a step back mode, right? So when you see something, take a step back. Don't always jump forward, hook, line, and sinker for what you think it is, right? Take a step back, get an understanding, get to the truth of the matter, all right? So 1, mental framing, or your psychological framing. And guess what? Here's a huge one. You understand and you process everything in your life through your own psychological framing. Not through mine, through your own, right? So here's one, right? If things are presented to you in a painful way, if things are presented to you and the majority of your life you're dealt with pain, or the majority of your life you are angry, or the majority of your life you are, quote unquote, have been burned, or you have been taken advantage of, then your psychological framework is always doubt or mistrust, or someone has a hidden agenda, right? We've all met people that have the idea that everybody's out to get them. Guess what? That's because their psychological framework is bent and built in such a fashion where they play themselves as the victim, right? Because no one can get you unless you are got. Or here's one, no one can get you unless you are a person who is gettable, okay? Otherwise known as, hey, I'm vulnerable. Now, guess what? That's my own self-talk. So I create my own vulnerabilities by what I say. I create my own vulnerabilities, but what I have framed in my own life. So guess what? Be very careful on how you frame your own life. And here's what I had to do. Like I told you before, I'm doing in 2 years what I didn't do in 20, which means I am totally uprooting a lot of the psychological framework that has been laid down in my life over the last 20 years. Why? Because it has been toxic. It has been detrimental to me. I have lost a lot of resources, time, energy. I've lost relationships. I've lost a lot because of my own psychological framework. I had to change that. And what do? You have to go to the root of the matter, otherwise known as your triggers, which would be another video probably this week. All right. So day 126, Sunday morning, early, get a little workout in, and you'll probably find me here throughout the rest of the week. So guess what? We are getting it in day 126. Today's subject matter is framing, psychological framing, otherwise known as your mental constructs, otherwise known as your mental, quote-unquote, biases. Okay? How do you frame things? What eyeglasses do you look through life at? It's your man Earl, www.deuceswild22.com. Also powered by another business of mine, www.figtreeglobal.com, which is my clothing line and urban street gear. God bless you. God speed. Peace. Day 126, psychological framing.